Okay, so I'm going to be doing my competitive analysis project. Just got my new computer. Hopefully the sound works. So we'll just jump right into it. All right, get started. All right, so I did my competitive analysis on the MLS. I think it's one of the U.S. sports that are kind of forgotten about in a way because I mean the league. I don't want to say the league's bad, but it's not compared to like Europe. It's not the best, and everyone's usually into football or basketball or something like that. So I wanted to see how they use social media to their advantage so that they could gain more viewers and possibly get more people in their seats at their stadiums. So for purpose, popular, just like I said, a sport that isn't popular in America, get people more involved and maybe get them a little more interested through social media use and how they use like videos and other things to their advantage so that, like I said before, more viewers, and then see how they could improve on it and even make it better to get more viewers and more clicks on their videos to get them to their websites and get them interested, see where the next games are at, get them interested in the team like that. So then they're more likely to watch a game and get more viewers and more uh, higher attendance at the games. So that's just like the leagues on Twitter, I think I used. So for MLS, it was only 3.2 million followers, and MLB 8.6, NFL 25.4, and NBA 31.2, which actually was a little shocking because I thought NFL would be a little higher. But you can see, even I believe MLB is probably of the top three. They're probably the least. I didn't realize it was that big, and MLS still trails them by 5.4 million. So that's how bad they're doing. But hopefully they can do better. All right, so I went to look at five of the teams in the MLS. So I did the Union, which of course is very local. The LA Galaxy, which I tried to pick like major teams that are like most known: Seattle Sounders, Atlanta United FC, New York Red Bull, and see how they differ in their social media use and what different techniques they use to try and do better and gain more fans, I guess they would be called. So for the Union, they're on all social media platforms, like all the major social media platforms: Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. They have their own website. I think I have that for all the teams. They all have their own website. Um, some of their websites are different, but for the most part, they all have them. So they have daily use with increased posts during games. So they'll post like anything every day, something about like either a highlight or what's going on with their team, whether it's a game or just like an event. They'll always post it. And then during games, they post like up to the minute highlights, whether it's a goal, a shot on net, a foul, basically anything. They'll put the minute and when it happens. So even if fans aren't allowed or can't watch the game, I guess they'll be able to stay updated if they don't have any like the sports apps. They'll keep them updated as close as they can possible to what is happening in the game. And then they have all types of posts, text, videos, highlights. If there's a really nice goal or just any goal for the most part, they'll have a video attached to it. Then the viewers will click on it. Um, they have photos of either a player or the fan. Well, not fans now, but when there were fans, the fans celebrating. They have a lot of different posts. They always have, so it's always interesting to see what they do, just based on what happened in the game, or like I said, an event going on. Or they do a lot of like the players' birthdays. They'll post them, and then they deals with their leagues and social and political issues such as voting. They have been very involved with that. So they'll put like for a long time they just had like a picture just like the vote, which you see a lot, to get people more involved in social issues where some other teams don't get involved as much as they do, but they had a really big voice, such as the Black Lives Matter movement. They had a very large voice with that. Go to LA Galaxy. Same thing, all social media. That's what you'll see for a lot of teams. I don't know if I put it on here, but a lot of teams they have their Twitter and Instagram connected. So when they post something on Twitter or Instagram or vice versa, it'll go on the other site. I think you can even do that with Facebook. It might be the same thing for Facebook. But so once they put one post, it'll connect to the other, which is why a lot of the teams have them. So if some users or fans don't have a certain site, they'll still be able to see it on that site, and it's the same post, same video. They'll still be able to be connected with the team. And they only post for games and plays that happen within those games. So you don't see a lot of community involvement or just regular posts about their players or something like that. It's only during games, which I think doesn't really help them out much in terms of social media compared to Galaxy. I mean, maybe they're a bigger club, so maybe they don't have to do it as much. But I think if they were able to, even like off season, they were able to post, keep their fans interested and interacted, maybe gain more fans by doing so, I think it would benefit them. And they're a very serious account and only towards their games and social issues. So they also took socialist issues very seriously, as I just said. Black Lives Matter for the most part recently, and COVID. They were very big on like staying healthy and the proper things to do, which I don't know if they still. I mean, it's in the playoffs now, but I don't think they allowed fans there at all this year. I'll have to double check that, but I don't think they were. But they took everything very seriously in terms of games. They would post up to the minute, as I said, for the union, and they were constantly on the Black Lives Matter, COVID, and voting social issue. And they post text updates and when the other team scores, video pictures. So that's for like team involvement. Like obviously you don't want to celebrate when the other team scores, so they'll just say make it very short, very quick. Like Union scored in the 19th minute, and that's it. But when they score, there's going to be like 3 posts about it. There's going to be a video, probably a picture. They're going to talk about the goal on the Twitter account. They're going to try and connect the fans that are watching the game on Twitter. They'll like retweet people that talk about the goal or talk about something big that happened in the game, which I think is really good. Fan involvement, I think, is always very good for a team to do that because it shows that they're kind of being thought about or that they're taking their opinions into consideration. They're actually using them. And then there's some, I didn't show the last pictures, but I tried to get like Galaxy when they scored, what it was like, as you can see right there, and their website. All the websites are kind of set up the same. They kind of have like if you see that top bar ticket schedule new, they kind of all have that same thing, just obviously different colors and maybe different design in terms of links you can click on or other ways you can get involved. All right. So in the Seattle Sounders, they post on all social media, but primarily Twitter. So for the most part, I found most of the teams have way more followers on Twitter as opposed to other accounts. And they obviously they probably have it connected, but I found it was like a lot of them weren't connected though. I looked into that for the Sounders. For Instagram, they would connect some things if there was like pictures, but not like videos or any other. I mean, obviously for Instagram you have pictures, but for the most part, it was more. They had a lot more text than images, so it was a lot more just Twitter engagement. And they post a lot about their players and especially memes with their players. So they'll be posting about players like if they scored goals or like I said earlier, if it's their birthday or just anything, just recognition for the week about one of their players or into their lives even. They'll post about them and they'll or the caption will be something about them, what they did, anything like that. And they obviously, like other teams, they post as much as possible throughout the game up to the minute. I think that's true for all the 5 teams that I did. That they all tried to keep it as close as they can in terms of game involvement. They would post obviously like the minute and what happened. I think that certainly happened for all teams. It's just differed in what they did outside the game, which I found to be really interesting as I talked about with the Galaxy. I think that can really help them. But social issues in their sports, post about being in support of their players. I'll have to go through the other 2. I think for the most part they all did social issues. Maybe one of them did not. But I think that's also really important. It shows that they are taking initiative and it's more than a sport and they are people too. So they get involved in these things I think is really important. And includes most pictures and most of their tweets. Oh, that's interesting. So even though, and I wrote that. So even though they are putting pictures, they're still not connecting it to their Instagram, which I think is interesting because, as I said earlier, I think it can interact with those that don't have Twitter or don't have Instagram. But at the same time, it is good they use pictures because it kind of gives people a visual as to know what's going on. It feels like they're there or anything like that. I think pictures and videos definitely add to posts. It makes them better. And then there's their website. It's a little different from the other two. Right. And Atlanta United FC, all their posts connected across platforms that I've gone over. They post a lot about their community and events that are taking place in it other than their games. So they do, like, as I said, the game involvement. But this one's important for like community involvement. I think I kind of got it in my one picture there. Um, that they're showing their fans, either they're retweeting it or they even take pictures if they have like a team event in the community. They'll post pictures of the fans doing whatever the event is that day. And I think that's really important because it really like shows that they care about their fans and they're taken care of when they're watching them play their games, which I think is really good. Um, because their fans are really important to them. Obviously, it what generates revenue, and if the more they get involved, the better, because you can create a lot more fans than that. And as you can see here, they even have it on their team page. They have a picture of one of their fans. Uh, so I think that's really cool. They post short messages, tweets with a lot of visuals in forms of pictures, videos, or even memes. So I think that's really cool. To even like, obviously they're on their team, but to like make some jokes sometimes about some of their players, whether it's a picture of them or anything like that, something they said. I think that's really funny because it shows that like they're people too and they can have fun and not everything has to be taken seriously and that they can have a little fun even with their fans. Videos and pictures, I said, they're always really good to have. They post a lot about what's happening around the league. So I think that's also really good for a team. Um, Even if they don't have a game that night, they share scores from around the league, which I think can get people more involved and even getting them to watch other games is important because that will create increased viewers. It will increase everything because people will be watching other games that aren't even connected to their team, which is really important, especially if it's a big game. New York Red Bulls. New York Red Bulls, they post a lot about their fans and retweet a lot of their fans' posts, which I've said before is really important. Um, Getting anything with your fans is always going to be good for your team. Have a good energy because they try and connect with their fans. Being positive with your posts, especially when it's about your fans, is really good because it shows you're not like mocking them or they're really important to you. So whenever it's all about fun and all about being nice to their fans, that's really important. They don't post everything that's on their their Twitter, which I kind of covered before, um, which I kind of covered. If it doesn't have a picture, I can understand, but I don't know why they wouldn't connect it. If it's, I don't know about Facebook's probably the least used. I didn't really dive into that. I don't know if you can connect those still, but either way, I think those should be connected for the most part. If there's a picture, I think you should connect. I've not posted much. I knew there was one. I've not posted much about social issues recently. So I'm not saying that's wrong or that's right, um, but they're just kind of staying out of it, which isn't a problem either way, because maybe they're just trying to stay away from all of it and not get connected with any of that. So they're not wrong in what they do. Maybe on Twitter if they just want to keep to their team, there's no problem with that. I just thought I would highlight that because out of the 5 teams I chose, I didn't even actually know this before until I started diving into it that they stayed away from it. But it's good to see how teams like handle these issues differently. You can either like go with it, which either way is not a problem, or stay away from it and just kind of focus on your team. That's good too. That's fine, in my opinion. But whichever way they want to tackle it, I think is okay. Only post this is actually also interesting too. Only post specific highlights of games, not every play. So this is definitely different than This is definitely different than every other team. Every other team was doing like subs, they were doing fouls, they were doing everything. but they're only posting highlights, which I don't think gives fans that can't watch it the full thing. So they'll only see like goals, maybe fouls, I don't know. But I feel like if you keep them like updated as much as possible, it'll get them interested in the game, and they'll get clicks on it. And especially if they have like a link to something where they could see highlights, I think that'd be really important. So I feel like they could definitely improve on that, make their fans a little more involved if they had more posts about the games. All right. Then data collection. So I did about like past 50. If there were games, I would kind of not count like all of them. I would count some of them, but looked at posts for the past 50 tweets and took the average. For like likes, I would just kind of type into Excel sheet and would generate data and graphs from that. Yeah, not during games, I thought so. On both ends, not, and during, that's what I thought I did. So I would count, if it was like a goal or something, I would take it, count that. But for the most part, I would look at like outside tweets, which I think is the most important. Consider how many followers they had. Obviously, if a team has like 28, or not 28, like a few million followers compared to only like 100,000, obviously some would be higher than the others. So I kind of did like percentage wise as to the likes compared to their followers. And then decided when likes and views were at the highest. So if they had like, you can see views for your tweet or like videos if you put. So I looked throughout the game, like when it was the highest and when it was like the lowest. And then there's some of the, there's a graph I have. So as you can see the followers, that you can see the teams that are bigger and the teams that are a little smaller. And you can see the average likes, which is definitely interesting because, let's see. So for Atlanta, I went over this a little bit, but they have the most followers, but the fewest tweets, which I don't really understand why, because I feel like they could definitely generate a lot more viewership and other things into their team if they had more tweets, especially like obviously they'll have more likes than everyone else and more retweets. Actually, not more retweets, which is actually really strange. But if they definitely increase their tweets and increase their posts on Instagram and other stuff like that, I feel like they could even get bigger, which obviously they're the biggest team there by almost 500,000. But if they increase that, I feel like they could even get bigger in terms of followers and just in terms of fans overall in general. So then there's my graph that shows everything. And retweets, it must be some type of thing that they're posting because they're third, I guess. They're basically in the middle and they're the biggest club by far. So they could definitely make their posts bigger in terms of what they tweet, the videos they post, videos. I feel like they could do a lot better in terms so they could get definitely better likes and better tweets. So then here's some of the graphs I made, just showing the followers. Obviously, I just kind of wanted to show how big of a difference it was from Atlanta to say the Union. And then MLS retweets and likes. So this was the most important thing I found for the Sounders, that they have more retweets than likes. I feel like it's a lot easier on Twitter to get likes in terms of retweets because people don't want to see. I mean, I know there's like a likes page on Twitter, but and besides seeing a retweet like on your regular page, I feel like for the most part, teams and other people have like way higher likes than retweets. And to see them have higher retweets is definitely interesting. Have to look more into like their posts to see why that is maybe. And try and, I mean, I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all. I feel like that's probably better because if you get more retweets, it like pushes it out there on your page and other people that follow you will see it. And they will be able to get more involved and engaged just by you hitting the retweet button, which is terrific. I just don't know how that's higher than likes. But for the other teams, Atlanta United needs to get better on their retweets, as I said before. I mean, they have so many likes, you're missing a large portion here. So you need to find a way to get those fans to click on that retweet button so they can get it out to other people. And kind of the same with the union, they don't have as many, but if you can get that retweets like higher, like somewhere, if you can get it in your half, I feel like that's really beneficial because it gets other people involved, see what they're doing, see what that team's doing, especially if they're not involved, they don't watch the MLS. It can kind of make them interested maybe if they like soccer but don't exactly like the MLS if they watch European. Maybe seeing those posts will get them more interested. So, and this is the percentage I was talking about, likes to followers. So, uh, Sounders got a lot of likes, or not Sounders, Union. Union got a lot of likes on their page to the followers. I kind of tried to show it as much as possible because it was smaller percentages, but that's good for them, I think. And you can get that many likes and you're a smaller team by like a lot. I think that's really good. So their social media team must be doing something really right with their posts and how they're connecting to their fans. And it's smallest. Yeah, Atlanta United, or no, they're not the smallest. Sounders are the smallest, and they're not they're like in the middle of the big team. So I think they definitely need to get better. I think all of these teams could get better in terms of their percentage because, as I've said before, people just kind of like things like without even trying anymore. So I feel like if you can increase your likes and increase your retweets, you can definitely do better for your team, and they need to find ways to do that, whether that be talking more about their games or upcoming events, any of those things. I feel like the more community involvement and fan involvement, I feel like would be the better. And then my analysis. So even though that some teams, Atlanta, are bigger and have more followers, um, they still like certain posts of other teams too, rather than others' posts. So basically, they're not getting the certain clicks like the Union um, was the leader in likes. I feel like they need to find other ways to get their tweets and their Instagram. They need to get more likes on those, especially for a bigger club. I feel like you'll have more money and you'll be able to do more events than say the Union. Um, you'll be able to do much bigger events, and your social, not social, yeah, your social media team can be a lot bigger, and you can definitely come up with a lot bigger ideas to get more fans into the stadium, more ticket sales. There's a lot more things you can do. And I found that during these games that these averages almost double when there's a game going on. Yeah, so when there's a game going on, you need to be posting a lot, which whoever the last team I did, they only post highlights. I feel like that's a big mistake. I feel like there are definitely other things you can do. You got to be posting up to the minute. You got to be posting, and if there's a big play, post it like 5 times in like different ways. Celebrations, celebrations a lot of fun. I feel like for fans, because it shows the players are having fun doing what they're doing. So I feel like anything you can post, especially during games, I feel like is most important. And especially during the off season, people like will forget about it a little bit. So if you can keep people going, I think I talked about this before in class, but I think it's like a transfer market that they do in soccer. So when that's going on, when the games aren't going on, you got to keep them involved, got to keep them up to minute. Big signings, who they're letting go, that's sad, but you got to keep people interested in it, even when the game's not going on. So that when the season comes back, they're ready for it, and you're getting a lot of people into the stadiums. You're getting a lot of people following it, streaming it. You're doing the most you can so that you can get the highest viewers and the highest ticket sales, in my opinion. So conclusions, types of things you post can decide how many followers like you may or may not gain. Like I said, if you're not posting, I feel like you're going to lose fan interest, especially not during games. I mean, during games you'll get people retweeting it, and that's important because it pushes it out to other people. But if you're not posting, it's going to have a big impact on you, I think. And then career takeaways. So I'm going for like uh, broadcasting journalism, and if you see a lot for like football, especially, like experts and like other analysts will post something about what they think about the game. And I feel like the more they post, the bigger they can get, especially if people agree with what they're saying. If they're like on a certain team or a part of a certain team. So if I'm ever, if you're ever in that position for like a journalist or anything like that, I feel like that's the same thing for that. The more you get out there, um, maybe the more people will see, especially if people are retweeting, people will start to agree with your opinion and people will start following you, listening to you, especially if you like a podcast or a radio show or anything like that. You can definitely get more viewers that way by putting what you think out there and getting people involved in your tweets and Instagram posts, and even Facebook posts. Anything to get people involved and get people to whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. And that's best space to say. Oh, own Twitter. Own Twitter takeaways. Like I said, I'll definitely going for sports. I definitely want to start like learning the right ways to get people involved, the best ways to get more of an audience in a way, and just get people interested in whatever it is you're trying to tweet about, sport wise or anything wise. You just kind of all about views and clicks, retweets, whatever it is you can connect to more people. I think is really important. All right, and that's it. And that's it. So thank you.